1. Love Talk Radio.
He took an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States of America. By some, he's been called controversial.
I'll keep my freedom, I'll keep my guns, try to keep my money and my religion too. Now keep in mind that some of my guests have been approached by Homeland Security or FBI saying, why are you going on the Clay Douglas show?
My message to those guys that are listening this morning is go get a cup of coffee, maybe you'll learn something.
We both took the same oath, to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I don't recall there being an expiration date on that. I'm going to keep my big beard, keep my friends from fame, keep the government out of my business, and y'all can keep the change.
He is the free American, Clay Douglas.
We know what we need. We know who to blame.
Catch the Free American Hour, weekdays at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern.
I'll keep the USA and y'all can keep the change.
For the podcast and more details, visit www.freeamerican.com or catch the podcast by phone by calling 832-999-8621.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Free American Hour. I am your host. I am Clay Douglas. Yeah, I'm a lot of other things too. But my guest today is Me Sah. She is a spiritual medium, clairvoyant, counselor, and energy coach from Santa Fe, New Mexico, who has attained a highly attuned level of connection to spirit and the angelic realms. With her help, you can experience enlightenment and expand your level of awareness. I find this very interesting, Mesah. After I booked you, I went to a Bible study last night with the dean of my Timothy Bible College that I've been working with for years and years, Dr. Jake Wade, and he talked about this very thing. As a matter of fact, I introduced to his Bible class the whole concept of the definition of love being your level of vibrational energy. And I'd like for you to take over on that. Knock it off. Be good, boys. So give us a basis of where you started here before we get into the little heavier questions.
What do you mean where I started?
Well, where did you start? How did you become a energy coach? How did you tell me how being clairvoyant has affected you, and I'm really interested in your level of connection with the spirit or angelic realms. We've been talking about that a lot around the campfire, you might say.
Okay. My journey was really a progressive journey, and it happened over many years. And I knew as a youngster there was something in my life I was missing. And it would wash over me, and it would be this extreme emptiness or void, and I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it was for years, but it would come to me. And later, I started getting very interested in spirit and God and what all that meant. Didn't get much education with that as a kid. And so I went on my own journey, and I found out that void and that loneliness I was feeling was the absence of God in my life. And so I started searching and went through lots and lots of different things on that search. And through that this started when I was in my late teens, really. And through that, I've been ordained twice. I studied different approaches to the divine. I've had a lot of what would be called mystical experiences. it all just grew. I found out that the divine is more than willing to have a relationship with us. It's us that keeps us away. And so, and a lot of that, of course, has to do with the frequency that a person is carrying. Because the divine is a very high frequency. And being in the physical, the dense physical body, it's a much lower frequency. So we have to be willing to raise our vibratory level to meet. The divine will come down to meet us, but it won't come down all the way into the physical. We have to come up to meet it. It comes down to meet us. So that has taken me, many years. At some point along the way, that relationship developed where I realized I could connect in a very personal way. And all the religions talk about having a personal relationship with God, but they don't necessarily tell us how to get there. And so when I found out I had that connection, then I realized I could ask for information and get answers. Now, I don't get every answer I ask for, and it changes over time. So when this first happened, I was asking, why this, why this, why? And I would get a response. And then one day, Spirit said, those are human questionings, and we're not going to answer those anymore because that's not what we're interested in. The human curiosity is like a bucket with no bottom. It just never ends. We want you to be more interested in what and how and deeper things. So my questions had to change, and they did. And I still get information, but I don't always get the information I'm asking about because I've surrendered to the divine. Big secret is surrender. And I've told Spirit, you do with me what you want to do. I will do what you ask of me, no matter what it is. And I do that every day. I tell Spirit that every day, every morning and every night.
Now,
and I'm in great.
Last night I attended a Bible study. Dr. Jake Wade, the Dean of Timothy Bible College, taught the class. And he talked about connection. Now, he even pointed out that Jesus said that you can do what I do and more. And he says, this is not about churches and walls and buildings. And I've made the statement, anytime I walk outside in my house, my trailer, wherever I'm at, I'm in my church. I'm in my church there. And all of these religions have been built on, I think, on men trying to control what other men think or follow, and really hiding the fact that we've all got this direct connection with God inside. Call it a soul, call it a spirit, call it whatever you want to call it.
Agreed. We have such a direct connection that right behind the physical heart, you can't see it because it's just beyond physical realm, there's a flame. There's an actual flame in our heart. And the energy from the divine, from the God part of us, the God self, comes into us down through the top of the head and anchors in that heart. And we literally have a live connection with that. So, Jesus said, don't you know ye are gods? Moses said, don't you know ye are gods? That wasn't symbolic. They were saying God is in you. That's how close that connection is. And closer, and the Bible says it's closer than your breath, because that is what keeps us alive. And if that connection is broken, then we pass on.
Now, they are finding out that what they used to refer to as mysticism is really probably closer to the truth. We are energy, we are vibrating here, and we actually create the combined here, we create the environment that we're living in. We create the world that we're living in, don't we?
Yeah.
Do you care to take a call? Do you care to take some calls here?
Oh, that's great.
Okay, I've got the one of the gentlemen in our chat room, and Victor Boss, 314 area code. Hello, sir. Welcome to the Free American Hour with Me Sah.
Hey, what's up, Clay?
How you doing, bud?
How you doing?
Great. Did you have a question for Me Sah?
I did not. I'm just listening in.
All right. I'll just put you on hold here and let you listen in on this line. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Go ahead, Me Sah.
Talking about how we create everything, there's quite a bit of information about how thoughts are things. Thoughts have energy, and as we put that out, it goes out into the universe, and there is a response to the universe from our thoughts. And quantum physics now is talking about the matrix and how everything is connected and entanglement, where all the electrons in my body are entangled with the electrons in your body and everybody else's body. So every thought that's put out there has its effect, potentially, on us, on the weather, on the plant life, on the animal forms, on everything. So that becomes, when you think about that, and you think about the thoughts that you're carrying and that you put out there, there's a bit of a responsibility to that. And there's a bit of a responsibility to learning how to direct the mind, because the mind on its own goes everywhere and anywhere and spews thoughts all the time, because that's its job. Its job is to create thoughts. But it is not a good taskmaster. It is not a good master. We have to learn to master the mind. And the fact that
it's my belief if you're an omnipotent, omniscient being, you're the only one of your kind, you'd have to be just bored out of your skull, wouldn't you? I mean, you can do anything, you can make anything happen, you can create planets, you can create universes, but you have to be bored, So what do you do with this kind of power, this kind of I believe you've got a correct description of it. When I think of God, I think of the universal mind. I think, and the greatest vision of that down here is probably the internet. We're broadcasting on the internet right now. People all over the world will be able to pick up this. All over the universe probably will be able to pick up this, and if we're putting out positive information, positive vibes, rather than dwelling on all of the fear and the hatred that they want us to do, we start raising raising our level of vibrational energy, our love quotient, if you would.
That's true. However, that's still being in the duality. The world is created because of the duality of yin and yang, the two dual energies. Now, Jesus was always in that universal mind, that Christ consciousness, which is why he said, when you look at me, you're looking at the Father. I and the Father are one. I am always in that universal energy beyond duality. And his mission was to help us get to that same place. And that is the place of pure potential, all possibility. And that's what quantum physics calls the quantum field, because it's that void where nothing has been created yet. It's pure potential.
And that's kind of where one of the things I came up a long time ago with the idea of Liberty Villages, and that idea that I had years ago is actually molding itself right on Interstate 10. About 50 miles out of San Antonio. A man has built the houses for a village. Matter of fact, I'm working on an article right now that says, it takes a house to start a village. And it's this gentleman's writing and all that. He has materialized at least to a certain extent, the concept that I had, the vision that I had, and here it is, here it is. It's somewhere, you can see it driving down I-10, you can see it if you look to the south as you go, as you're going down Interstate 10, you can see these houses sitting up on a little rise here. We're talking about smaller houses. We're talking about a house that you can put on, and you don't have to spend you know, $300,000 over 30 years to be able to live and exist in this smaller home. It's kind of like an oxymoron. You're driving down the highway in the state of Texas. You know, the sun is risen, the sun is set. Here I am in Texas yet. And you're driving down here and you look to the left and you see a roof that you can actually see from the satellite. You can Google Earth it, you know, and see these houses that are and they're actually better quality. They're all built from salvage. They've been going down and taking down old barns and old houses and old buildings for years, and accumulated one of the largest collection of antique doorknobs, you know, things like that. It's a wonderful project, and I'm reporting on that. That's one of the stories that I'm covering right now, because they really figured it out. They really figured it out. It's a way that we can make a living now, you know, just by cleaning up our neighborhoods, cleaning up our forests, cleaning up, and the materials that you salvage, you put back. I mean, the wood that was made 100 years ago is better than the wood they can make today.
Oh, absolutely. That's a wonderful project that's going on. Absolutely.
I wanted to ask you about that. I want you to read this, because I think personally, I think that this is coming into effect. They're in rural counties, in the rural neighborhoods. These the towns have sprung up. These are beautiful towns. These are and they're scattered all over Texas. You know, so the whole Liberty Village concept exists right now. We've just got to. It's got to take a change in consciousness to start putting our, making our victory gardens grow again. We've got ways to do that. You know, we've got God gave us the wind and the sun, you know, to use. We don't have to buy the power from a Chinese firm on top of our mountains. We don't necessarily need to do that, do we? And I'd like to ask you, what do you see in the future? Now, we're talking to a lot of people, even the scientists, talking about the quantum physics, that we're coming into an area of the universe that we can start taking hits. You know, asteroids, planets, meteorites, that kind of thing. And it's supposed to be happening by December. Of course, the Mayan calendar talks about this passage too. And I'd like to get your opinion on what we've got coming. What are we looking at? And is this concept of being self-sufficient, smaller houses, energy efficient? What's that? What can we do? Are we going the right direction? Is this an answer? You know, I figured if you can generate your own power and grow your own food, you don't really need government for much. Go ahead.
Well, I think it's the way to go, and I think that people are, I think there's a certain part of the population that is really tuning into what you're talking about. I think you're going to be very, very involved in this movement, Clay, and I think that you could be very important in this movement. And I think that this is there's a tremendous amount of energy for you moving in this direction and helping this grow and helping it develop. And the wonderful thing about this is that it's not in conflict with anything. You know, when you're in conflict with something, you're actually giving a tremendous amount of energy. And so you're helping whatever it is you're in conflict with get stronger, because all of your
I've got to tell you that is the same thing. A little earlier, a gentleman walked through and listened in for just a little while. Very, very busy man, brilliant man, that has created what I'm looking at. You know, what you can look at when you're driving down the highway. It's a wonderful project. Wonderful project. Yep. But it could be this is just a model. It could be a lot more than that if you want to. You know, the phone numbers are up there, the websites are up there. Tiny Texas houses you can go to. They've got their own Facebook site. They've got their own sites. And I urge people to take a look. You won't believe the quality when you start looking at the pictures here. You walk into one of these houses, and it's like walking into a chapel. Matter of fact, we got a chapel sitting right out there. It'll probably be activated. And it says, what's that?
I got to tell you that for the last several minutes, there's a really tremendous amount of energy that's hitting me. So if my voice gets a little shaky, it's just the energy. But there's something about this in you, Clay, that is very, very, very important. And it's very, very important for you. And I'm not sure how this is going to play out, but I feel that you're going to get more and more and more involved with this in many different aspects, in many different ways. And somehow, not only are you a key for it, but this is a key for you personally in your own journey, your own spiritual journey, and your own growth. And this is just a huge energy that's hitting me. And I can only really encourage you. I know you're into it now, but I can only encourage you to stay on that path and get more and more involved. I don't know how you're going to do it, but it's going to be so important for you to do this.
I will be doing this in a number of different ways. I will be doing this in a number of different ways.
And it may change your direction somewhat, but it's all for the good.
Well, it already has, and let me explain how it has. You know, in one aspect, I mean, I've tried to cover all sides for 40 years. I've been in the penthouses in Miami. I've been in the biker bars in LA. You know, I've been a lot of different things. You know, I've been boat captains. I've helped make movies. You know, you can even see me in a couple of one of Stallone's movies. It's been real interesting. But over the last 10 years, I've gotten in. I've tried to tell both sides of the story, and we are in a tremendous spiritual battle. It's hard to tell the tares from the wheat. We don't know. Right. We don't know if we watch somebody we think's being well paid on television, that's taking us down a wrong path. And I got into some of the battle. I said the problem that we have. How do you fight evil without becoming evil?
Good point.
And that's really the choice that we've got right now. And in taking,
I don't agree with that.
Okay, go ahead, please. Correct me.
Jesus said, "Resist not evil," and the reason he did that is because when you resist it, you feed it through that resistance. You have to move your energetic field to a different vibratory rate so that evil can't even find you. Evil is a low vibration. It's a very low vibratory rate. If you're vibrating at a rate that is higher than evil, it can't find you. It's like you've disappeared off the map, and it'll go right by you. Won't even be able to touch you.
That's that is a good way to put it. What I have probably inadvertently done in trying to fight for Christians or sovereigns or farmers or ranchers, whatever I've done, perhaps I did as much damage as I did good. Maybe some people woke up, maybe some people were turned off. But there was a conflict there. There was a conflict and a tremendous type of anger built up. And that had to attract negative influence. What we call trolls here on the blog TV. And I have tried to change that. This is really a process. I've been the eternal stranger, and I think I found a niche. I think I found people that are doing the right thing and offering some real solutions, both economically and even spiritually in growth. That's why I'm having people like you, and having you particularly, on my site, because I think you're giving out hope. If I'm going to be Horus, it's going to probably be Horus the hopeful, because I hope that we can do this. I hope that we can rise above the negativity and the materials here at hand that people would take and throw to your dump have created some of the most beautiful structures ever.
You know, if you're in the presence of a God-realized being, they exude so much peace that it changes your own vibratory rate. You know, Jesus, when people were in the presence of Jesus, if they were willing, which is a big if, but if they were willing, they changed just by being in his presence because of the frequencies he was vibrating at. That's why he was called the Prince of Peace. And when you're in the presence of somebody like that, and there are a few of them still on the earth, and many of us moving in that direction, and the consciousness changes, it spews forth a different vibration. If you want to affect evil, you do it by developing your own consciousness into that realm where you are one with the Father and evil can't be there. That's how evil is eradicated. Not by fighting it, but by changing the consciousness. So this thing about being self-sufficient, growing our own food, worshiping the way we feel we need to in our hearts, you know, all of that is so, it feeds us, it feeds our soul. It allows us to get to the next learning, to the next level of understanding and awareness. That's what I understand. So it's very, very important, the thing about, you know, getting back to the land. And getting back to the land helps ground us. It helps ground our energies, because the energies are supposed to flow from the earth up through us, up into the higher realms, come back down through the heart and back down through the earth. And there's supposed to be a continual flow. It's a figure 8.
Now,
and
one of the things that they talk about at tiny Texas houses is that they're actually resurrecting the dead. They're resurrecting the dead because they're pulling this wood that's hundreds of years old, and they're reusing it. They're building structures, and it's amazing when you walk on one of these structures. It is so solid. It is so, and there is a feel. There's a feel to the energy from this wood.
Yes. Wood is one of the substances that will really hold vibrations. It's very good about that. Everything will hold vibrations, but wood is one that will really, really absorb it and hold it forever. I mean, just for a very, very long time.
And the other, you know, they use tin. The tin that they made 100 years ago is stronger than the tin they make today.
Absolutely.
And it's you know, appearances are deceiving. You know, somebody said, well, what about that rust? And we don't. The rust protects this. It generates its own protection. It's and you know.
Well, actually, rust is quite healthy to be around because it's iron. And you know, one of the things. Have you ever been to Sedona, Arizona?
Yes, I have.
Sure
I've been by there, through there many times. Yes.
You know, the red earth has a very high iron content, which is why. Couple of things. Why people feel so good there, because they're actually breathing in that energy. And that energy is also a conductor, which is why there's so many mystical things that go on there. And so rust, it's not a bad thing.
These, even the iron, the doorknobs, they have one of the largest collection of doorknobs, antique doorknobs right here. I mean, it's